Okay, so this is the second flight on the Dancing Wings Hobby E31J3 FireBird Cub sub 100 gram. It's a little bush plane. Alright, so I've toned down my ailerons and increased the expo a bit. Got some walkers coming, so I'm going to come back down this way. I've got to land it on this little dirt lane anyway. So, alright, so let's see if I did good or bad launching. See what kind of trim work we need to do on it. Look at that. I've got to cut back on the throttle again. Look at that. Pretty nice. A little rudder turn there. Check that out. Okay, so my ailerons feel better than they did. I think I need a little more nose weight. I think I need to, well, let me see. It's hard to tell when you're flying it in a little bit of wind. No, that looks pretty good. Morning. Yeah, so I think the balance feels good. The ailerons are better. I decreased the dual rate by 10 points, increased the expo by 10 points. So that feels a lot smoother on the ailerons. Pretty nice flying little plane considering that it doesn't have a gyro in it, and it's sub 100 gram. Check that out. Brushless, 2S brushless plane. Whee! This is just my second flight on it. Oh, and after the first flight, and I wasn't easy on the throttle. I was actually more in the throttle then than I was now. I had it in the air for a little over 5 minutes, and I still had a little over 3.8 volts per cell on these really old 2S 300 milliamp hour Lipos is what I'm flying it with. Put a little rudder in there. A little rudder. Not bad at all. This is definitely a park flyer. Okay, so now that I've got it trimmed out better than I had on the maiden, let's see here. Oh, you can do big wide loops with this, guys. It's got plenty of power. Look at that. And it just turns on a dime, even being full manual mode. Now, you could always put a receiver with a gyro in it. That's not a problem. But the bind and fly kit just comes with the standard, you know, one of those little micro low voltage receivers that has a 2S 7 amp brushless ESC built into it, which is, you know, very lightweight, very compact. Look at that. Very compact. It's pretty well behaved, isn't it? Now the wind has slacked off a bit, so that makes it a little bit easier. Whee! But it's a pretty well behaved little plane. And look at the wide loops you could do with that. That has some power. Now the wind's picking up again. Isn't that cool, though? I'm just doing a rudder turn there. No aileron input. I was just doing a rudder turn. There's another rudder turn right there. So I've got good rudder authority. Look at that. Yeah, pretty good. You're good. You'll have a lot of fun with this one. And I don't even have it all tuned in yet. I just got it where it wasn't so twitchy, you know, like it was on the maiden launch. But that is pretty slick, guys. Look at that. I almost stalled it there. Alright, my timer's elapsed, but like I said, I'm getting, you know, the last time I had it in the air for a little over 5 minutes, I still had over 3.8 volts per cell on these little tired lipos. Look at that. Oh man, that has got some power. And pretty good roll rate, even though I toned the ailerons down on it. Did you see that? I think this is going to be, I think this needs to perform a split S maneuver before we bring it back in. What do you think? Let's see. Yeah, sweet. That is a pretty aerobatic little FireBird Cub, J3 Cub. It's sub 100 grams, guys. Sub 100 grams. Look at that. That has got some power to it, doesn't it? Okay, I think I'm well past, oh, the wind is picking up now. All right, I am well past my timer. So let's bring it back in. Whoa, it is really catching some wind now. Okay, let's go around. Now I just need to be able to get it on the ground. All right, totally back. Oh, man, that is, it's a handful and some wind coming in for a landing. But, you know, I mean, heck, it's sub 100 grams. I'll make sure my wing's on there straight. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, so I'd love to put this in the air again. I think I'm going to tone down my ailerons a little bit more. You guys saw the roll rate on it, right? It has an awesome roll rate for a little bush plane. So I think I'm going to tone the ailerons down a little bit more. I'll leave the expo where it is. I think I may tone down the elevator a little bit too. Every once in a while, you know, especially when I slowed down, it felt like it was a little bit twitchy. But so I'll make those adjustments. I'll put it back in the air again before it gets really windy out here. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, this is going to be flight number 3 on this little J3 Cub, and I'm gonna try cutting my throttle back to 50% on launch. So let's see how that works out. Oh yeah, that worked out better. I was getting a little bit of torque roll when I was launching it at 60% throttle. So that feels a lot better. Look at that. Man, you can turn this. Seriously, turn this. I'm going to throttle back some more. That is pretty darn cool, guys. I moved my battery forward a little bit further forward than it was just because I'm having to penetrate the wind out here today. I decreased my dual rate on the ailerons. That feels a lot smoother. I decreased my dual rate on the elevator. That feels smoother. Whee! Look at that. That is a nice flying little plane. If I keep it out of the sun. I had a vehicle coming through here, so I don't know where he went. I was trying to keep it away from the road there. bring it back down. But yeah, that feels pretty good. I think that I may need a little right angle in the motor. But, you know, it doesn't have any down angle in the motor that I can detect. It looks like it's just straight out. But I guess where they have the thrust line, you know, it seems to maintain its attitude really well at cruising speed. You know, it's not pulling the nose down, it's not pulling the nose up. So apparently it doesn't need any down angle in the motor. Look at that. This is definitely a good park flyer because you can fly this in a tiny area. 50% launch throttle was good. I didn't see any torque roll on 50% throttle, and it took right off. So now let's come back through here. I want to check my roll rate again. I may actually decrease my aileron movement again on my dual rate. Let's see. That's pretty decent. I think maybe I'll leave it where it is, maybe increase my expo just a tick. That's a pretty good roll rate. That was going with the torque. Not quite as good going against the torque, and that's why I think that kind of solidifies the need to have a little right angle in that motor. So before I bring it out again, I'll put a couple of spacers on the motor mount to give it a little right angle, and then I should be symmetrical on my rolls, because I don't think I want to decrease the ailerons anymore. I may increase the expo by about 5 points, but pretty nice flying little plane considering it's sub 100 grams, and I'm flying in, well, I would say most of the time it's about a 3 to 4 mile an hour wind, but every once in a while it's kicking up to about 6 or 7, and then it becomes a handful. So I think with this plane, as light as it is, sub 100 gram, I don't think you want to fly it without a gyro. I don't think you want to fly it more than about 5 mile an hour wind. But pretty slick, isn't it? Look at that. It flies like a nice little bush plane. Try not to hit myself. Look at that. That is sweet, guys. And you're going to get a lot of flight time out of it. I'm already getting my haptic. Big loops. Big loops are not a problem with this plane. Look at that. It has got plenty of power. Plenty of power. Look at that. Isn't that sweet? And now my timer's elapsed. Okay, so the last time I had it in the air, I was a little heavier in the throttle doing maneuvers with it. And with these old 300 milliamp hour 2S Lipos that I've got in it, I still had over 3.75 volts per cell. And that was about, I had it in the air for about 5.5 minutes. So with newer Lipos, I don't think you're going to have any problem, you know, especially if you're just mostly cruising around with it most of the time. I don't think you're going to have a problem probably getting 8 or 9 minutes of flight time on it, leaving a little over 3.5 volts per cell with one of these little 300 milliamp hour Lipos. Look at that. Isn't that well behaved? And this is just my third flight, so I'm not even real comfortable with it yet. But look at that. Okay, so let's see if we can put it down on the main road rather than this. I think the wind is mostly coming down this road in the direction I'm flying right now. So check for traffic. And I like the paint scheme because it's highly visible in the air. Okay, we look good that direction. So let's see if we can bring it in. Boom. they're just too much sand out here for these little wheels. But that is an awesome flying little bush plane. And like I said, 3 to 5, it's sub 100 gram plane, and yet it can handle a 3 to 5 mile an hour wind, which is what I have out here most of the time this morning. Above that, it gets pretty hairy. It gets thrown around quite a bit. But isn't that an awesome little micro bush plane? And I can't believe that this thing is under 100 grams all up way. That is fantastic. All right, so I think everything feels pretty good. I think I'm going to increase my ailerons by about 5 more points on the Expo, just to smooth it out a little bit more at center stick. And I need to put a little bit of right angle in the motor, and then I think it'll be golden. I don't have any trim in the rudder. I don't have any trim in the elevator. The control surfaces are completely neutral. I did have to put in a little right aileron due to the fact that the motor doesn't seem to have, I can't tell that it has any right angle in it at all. If it does, it's very slight. So with that 5-inch prop and that thing being so lightweight, I think a little bit more right angle in the motor, and that's pretty much going to be golden for me. And 50% launch throttle because this thing's got so much power. I mean, that is absolutely awesome. I don't usually see, and this is a bind-and-fly kit, I don't usually see factory aircraft coming either, ready to fly, bind-and-fly, or kit that comes with all the electronics that has that amount of power right off the get-go. I'm not going to have to do anything to modify the power system on this. And it has really good slow flight capability too, because it's so lightweight and it is so maneuverable. I think you guys are going to like it a lot. But anyway, I am going to put I got 1 battery pack left. I'm going to put another flight on it after I tune out the ailerons a little bit more. And I think that, a little right angle on there. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.